stop running now. With you, I found my peace.
So talk to her about the powerlessness and the effect it's having on your manhood.
And there it is. That's the exact thing. I think I overcompensate because I've worked since I was 12 years old.
Right.
You know, but that's the same time I got saved. So
Right.
my work, academia, personal life, the Lord has always been in it. And that's why I say I've grown, I've
Right.
grown with the Lord.
Right.
And so now everything that I say that I base my life on is being challenged at this moment as
Okay.
we're having this conversation.
So talk to her about the crossroads, like I said with her, the question of her femininity and her health and how that's tied together. Talk about your inability to execute plans and your manhood and the productivity that you're used to having, and the ways in which your ability to provide for her when you got married was something you were looking forward to being able to manage without it being an issue. Spend a minute telling her what that's done to you from a heart level.
Let me turn the cameras off. No, just kidding. Well, you've been with it. I mean, you've been with me through this. So, what we're talking about today is nothing new about, I, in a affirmative sense, I try to reflect, to be a godly man and let his goodness shine through me. But, the challenges have been there. She jokes that, well, actually, you don't joke. When we got married,
Oh, yes.
I was thinking, I didn't know how long the workers' comp thing, I thought I wasn't working, but we had this pretty decent wedding and everything. And when we were saying our personal vows, one of the things was, I gave you my body,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave you my debt. But I was joking.
Right.
But
in my brain, it went,
yeah, and maybe, putting on
Mm-hmm.
your pastor hat, I do realize that that is an altar and it's sacred where we were
Right.
making our promises before God and witnesses. But maybe by me saying my debt, which wasn't what it is now, maybe I brought this upon us. I don't know.
No, I have brought that up as far as I'm like, why did you say that? Oh my goodness, because now we're in it. But I understand where he's coming from, and I do support him. But it's just like I said, it's just been challenging.
Right.
And I try to match his faith and although I heard what you said and I appreciate it, and we're going to take that in and we're going to take that home and marinate on it and pray about it. But
Right.
I want to be where he's at with the faith and the peace, but all this
But,
is
but,
new.
but I got
Yeah.
that. But here's
Yeah.
something I would caution you against. How long have you been married?
1 year and some change.
How long were you together before the marriage?
8 years.
8 years. Well, yes, 10 years, and we were not together for 2, but so.
Okay,
10,
so
yeah,
basically
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yes.
I'm going to circle back
Okay.
around to that. But here's the thing you need to remember. You shouldn't have expectations of each other that match a 20-year marriage if you only have 1 year in. A lot of our happiness and frustration is directly tied to our expectations. So if I believe my car is worth $5,000 and I sell it for $3,000, that's going to have an effect on me in terms of how I see the deal. But if I later find out my car really was only worth $2,000, then it changes how I perceive that and how I experience.
Now you feel
what
better
happened.
about
I
it.
feel better about, oh, then I might have got over as opposed to getting used. Now here's the key to that. It really doesn't matter what it sold for. It mattered the story I wrote with it. And here's the key to that. The two of you have to grieve the year you thought you'd have. and look at salvaging the year you actually are having. And what I mean by that is, okay, there's some stuff that we wanted. We wanted to be able to go out of town every year and do our thing, and these are the things we've used to and we've grown to, but now we can't do those things. I've heard a lot of loss in both of your stories, but I don't hear where you grieved it. And not grieving that loss and adding loss on top of loss on top of loss, and then looking across at the other person and seeing, since we have been married, only loss, that's a hard thing to sustain, the usness of it, and move forward in the usness of it. Because I feel like on some levels, you have expectations that feel like a 20-year marriage couple, not a 1-year marriage couple, even though you've been together a long time. Now, I said I'm going to circle back around. Why didn't you get married sooner? Just saying.
You, all right.
I gotta go there, because how you've been together, why you've been together, and what, kind of context. You talk about faith. That is marriage is you talk about faith. Marriage and buying a house, those are huge faith items. So getting married and why you didn't get married, if I hear your Genesis story, I got a feeling I'm gonna find out why you're handling the desert the way you are.
I finally stopped running now. With you, I found my peace somehow. Let go of every thought that was holding me back. Yeah. I'm in love with you in every way. The joy you give me every day.